If you're a nurse practitioner or a medical provider, are you riddled with guilt in balancing parenthood and medicine? Are you I want you to imagine this picture. It's a weekday morning and you have to get your toddler dressed, fed, and ready to go to school or daycare and before you head off to work. And your pager, your beeper, your cell phone is ringing to let you know of your upcoming patients that morning, that day. And you know it's going to be a busy, hectic day. And you got to hurry and get out that door. But your 4-year-old toddler suddenly grabs you by the ankle and he's crying and he looks at you with his big puppy dog eyes and he begs you, "Mommy, please don't go. I want to stay with you today." Do you ever feel like you're a bad parent if sorry, do you ever feel like you're a bad parent for not being the parent that your child wants you to be, that your child needs you to be? Do you ever feel like even sometimes you're putting your patients before your own child, your children? Hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Nicole. I am a rheumatology nurse practitioner, and I help other nurse practitioners make medicine meaningful and connect with their patient in 60 seconds or less. And if you said yes to any of these questions, if any of these questions resonated with you, then I want you to hear this story. I have a story for you. About 2, 3 weeks ago, I left for a week long business trip. And I left my 4-year-old son in the capable hands of my husband and my in laws. And I felt the guilt. I completely felt the guilt. Let me tell you, that was the longest I had ever been away from my son, from my 4-year-old. That's the longest. I felt so much physical resistance to packing my own luggage, to packing my bags. I mean, I waited until the last minute the night before, even the morning of, to pack my bags. That's how much I felt so much resistance to packing and getting ready for my trip. And the day before I took off, the day before my flight, you bet I spent all day with my husband, with my son. We went to the park. We went on a family hike. We went out to lunch, just some good quality family time. And I hugged him so many times. I hugged him. I squeezed him so many times because when I got on that airplane the next day, I wanted to cry because I missed him so much. I feel like a part of me was missing. And I was worried that he was crying and he was missing me for not being there with him and for him. And, being away from my 4-year-old wasn't the only guilty thing I felt. I felt guilt around. I also felt guilty from being away from my patients. I felt guilty for leaving my patient care to my colleagues to cover my phone calls, my messages, anything urgent coming up with my patients. The American College of Medicine uh, forecasts. I'm sorry, the American Medical Association. Wow, I'm so sorry. I can't talk today. The AMA, the American Medical Association, forecasts that there is going to be a physician shortage by the year 2036 of over 86,000 physicians. And if you work in medicine, we're already feeling the burden right now. We're already seeing so much impacted, so much shortage. We're all working overtime just to make sure patients get seen. We are feeling the burden and it's going to get even worse. And so I already feel guilty for leaving my patients and not being able, I already feel guilty for leaving my patients with my colleagues when I know there's already an impact. There's already a shortage of medical providers. And then for me to take time off, man, I was just that whole week on my business trip, I was riddled with guilt. And I think as women, we tend to feel a lot of guilt. I'm not saying that men don't feel guilt because men do feel guilt, but there's actually truth that women feel more guilt than their male counterparts. In fact, in psychology studies, there's a demonstration that it's a wiring in women. We are biologically wired and neurologically wired or biologically wired to nurture relationships more. We females are biologically designed to be attuned with other people's experiences, feel their pain, to even be able to care for our offspring. So it's actually an evolutionary standpoint. This makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint. There's actually a purpose behind this. But man, in modern society, this this kind of sucks. This is hard. This makes it really hard to practice medicine and motherhood. And studies demonstrate that 66 of working parents experience burnout in America. And if you practice medicine, I mean, I don't need to explain. You already know how burnout affects your physical and your mental health. That goes without saying. But guess what? It is near impossible to avoid bringing that stress you feel from work home with you when you walk in the front door. It is nearly impossible to separate it. That's the spillover effect. The work stress spills over into the rest of your life, into your personal life. When you walk in that door, when you look at your child, your spouse, your family, your loved ones. In fact, studies demonstrate that parental burnout worsens the quality of a parent-child relationship. And if, a parent is exhausted and emotionally drained, they can struggle to provide the necessary emotional support and the interactive engagement that their child needs, that their kids need. And so, can you imagine working a long 12-hour shift? You're on your feet, seeing patients nonstop, and you head straight home to walk in the door to cook dinner. You have to bathe your child, get them ready for bed. It's like just go, go, go nonstop. And of course, the stress you bring from work, that you carry from work, will be carried through the front door into the house. You're only human. You're going to carry that with you. Your emotions spill over into when you change your location from work to home. And if you're already feeling the guilt for not being the parent that your child needs, that you have to go to work, that you can't spend your time with them all the time, and now you're the stressed out and burned out parent walking through the front door to the child, that your child definitely doesn't need this stressed out, burnt out parent. You become a version of yourself that is stressed out and burnt out, that your child doesn't need, that they won't benefit from. And so, balancing medicine and motherhood is so hard. It is so hard. That's without question. If you're a parent, if you're a mom, you know you want your child to have the best. You know you want your child to have the best. And so I'm telling you, be your best so that your child can have the best. Be your best so that your child can have the best. Are you willing to transform yourself into the best version of yourself so that your family can receive the best? I want to finish my story about my business trip. So on the flight home, it was a couple, like 4 or 5 hours long, and I watched the movie The Parent Trap. It was the older version, the one from 1961. And if you've seen The Parent Trap, whether it's the one from the 60s or the newer one from the 90s, I think 98, the synopsis is that there are twin girls. They're about 11, 12 years old, and they're separated at birth because their parents got divorced. And so one grew up with their dad in California, the other one grew up in the East Coast with her mom. And the two girls never knew each other existed. They never knew they were sisters. They never knew they had a twin sister. But ironically, when they're 11 or 12 years old, they both go to the same camp, the same summer camp. And that's where they meet and discover that they're sisters, they're twins, they're related. They're missing a whole chunk of their life, their identity. And so they decide to get their parents back together. And that's when it hit me watching that movie on the airplane. These separated twin girls asked their parents for their best so that they could be happier children. They told their parents that, hey, we both need a father and a mother present in our lives to feel loved, to feel worthy. Because if we don't have the other parent, we feel like there's something wrong with us. We feel like we're not lovable. And they hated being separated, and it makes them feel that they're not worthy of love. And how hard is it as a parent to put aside your pride, your ego, be vulnerable with each other in order to see if they could get back together? And I'm not saying that all divorced parents should get back together. Like, this is just a movie, this is fiction. This is not real life. But the message from this movie is based on human principle. It's that your child is better when you are better. Your child is better when you are better. Motherhood and medicine is hard. Absolutely. But did you know that studies demonstrate that children are happier with working parents because they are powerful role models? Did you know that? So let me ask you, are you bringing your best in your career as a nurse practitioner? Are you bringing your best in your career in practicing medicine? I want you to think of the top 5 people you love the most in this world. The top 5 people you love the most in this world. Picture them in your head. Picture who they are. Picture their faces, their smiling faces. Do you want the best for them? Are you willing to give your best so that they can receive the best? Studies demonstrate that women who work are more likely to have employed daughters in the future. Your kids are watching you closely, whether you know it or not, whether you're aware of it or not. Kids are watching you very closely. They're observing you. And every time you come home from work, whether you are drained, you are exhausted, you are stressed out, you are venting, or you come home appearing rejuvenated, excited, energetic, feeling fulfilled, that greatly impacts your child. It greatly impacts them. Now, I have an even better question to ask you. When I just a moment ago, when I asked you, think of the top 5 people you love the most in this world. Did you think of yourself? If you didn't, that's okay, because I do that too sometimes. It is so easy to forget to love and better ourselves as well. It's just like when you're on an airplane. There's a lot of airplane metaphors because I was on an airplane for the business trip. But it's like when you're on an airplane and there's an emergency and the oxygen masks come down from the ceiling, the flight attendants always tell you, put your own oxygen mask on first and then put it on your child or your loved one. Because if you don't take care of yourself, if you're not better, you can't help someone else get better. If you don't take care of yourself first, you can't take care of your child. And so I'm talking about get beyond like, getting rest, getting me time, exercise, taking a vacation. What if being at work made you rejuvenated, made you energetic? What if being at work fueled your energy for when you come home through the front door at the end of the day? Did you think about that? What if that was possible? What if your kids watched you walk through the front door or pick them up at school or at daycare and you had a big smile on your face? You looked so excited. Your skin was glowing. You had this energy pouring out of just seeping out of your pores almost. And you told them about how you had such a great day at work. This patient was so appreciative of you. You really impacted so many people. They valued you. They said this and that, and they complimented you, and they just had so many praises for you. And that you knew you were making the world a better place for your child, for their friends, for their future. Your child would look up to you with the biggest, shining, hopeful eyes, like you're superhero, like you're their superhero. What if you could make your work in medicine meaningful to where it did rejuvenate your energy, to where you came home at the end of the day and you felt like a superwoman? You could go and take care of your kid and give them the best experience, the best childhood because you were a better version of yourself. What if you could transform yourself into a better version of yourself that connected with your patients within seconds, that made you feel so fulfilled at work on a regular basis? Being a better version of yourself, it doesn't mean taking vacation. It doesn't mean escaping the stress of work here and there periodically. It means strengthening your weaknesses. It means learning new skills to better your life and to better your children's lives. And so that's exactly what the Connect with Your Patient in 60 Seconds or Less masterclass can do for you. This is a 90-minute masterclass. It could be 120 minutes. It depends if you choose the VIP or the general admission. But this masterclass will teach you the framework of how to meaningfully connect with your patient in seconds, the moment you walk in that exam room. The moment you knock on that door and you walk in and you say hi. What that means for you is that you will feel reawakened and rejuvenated in your work, in medicine, in your day, in your shift. But the real value for you is that you will walk into the front door of your house after work feeling energetic and rejuvenated, ready to snuggle with your child and give them the love, all the attention, all the emotional support that they need from you. And being the best parent for your child is what you want, right? And so I hope this episode was helpful. Practicing motherhood in medicine is not easy. It is not easy. And so I invite you, join the next round of the Connect with Your Patient in 60 Seconds or Less masterclass. The link is down in the show notes or the description box below. There's a 90-minute version for general admission, but I highly recommend the VIP. The VIP is an extra hour with coaching. Ask your questions, get your specific challenges and circumstances coached so that you can be a better version of yourself within 120 minutes. How amazing would that be? This is the beauty of children, of having children. They require us to stretch ourselves, to push past our comfort boundaries, to push past what we think we know, and to become the best versions of ourselves. So I encourage you, go stretch yourself and start being her today. I hope this episode was helpful. I love you all, and I will see you all next time.